Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is Shira Goldberg. I am the host of The Addiction Show. Today I have with me someone who's pretty much an authority on this topic. It's about mugshots. I know a lot of people in the recovery community really have been victimized by these prevailing websites that once you're on them, it's pretty much you're on them forever. I have with me someone who's really made some huge changes in this area in her state of Georgia. She's going to talk a little about her story and how she became such a passionate advocate. Now, although she's not directly involved with the recovery community, she has received a lot of information about those that are turning their lives around or have completely made a 180 and they're still being penalized from their past. So that might explain why she has a beautiful picture of wine bottles behind her. So Sophia Andrade, she is the founder of Reclaiming Our Dignity, and I wanted to welcome her with open arms, and she's just such an angel in the world. I'm on her website now. I want to see if I can do this correctly. She was able to bring this to attention of the legislators.
Tonight, a closer look at an internet business that's thriving. Websites cashing in on mugshots. They charge hefty fees, promising to take them down. But the pictures may never go away, even if the person is innocent. ABC's Steve Osunsami has one woman's frustrating story.
They're pictures of people in their worst moments, in their mugshots, and not just celebrities. The websites that showcase them are now a dime a dozen, and charging everyday people hefty fees to take the photos down.
Once something gets on the internet, that booking photo, that mugshot photo is going to haunt you for the rest of your life.
They legally download what police call booking photos from online arrest records, saying they're providing a public service and that laws allow these records to be shared with the public.
I don't know. I just don't know how to express in words how devastating this has been for me.
Sophia Andrade says it feels like she's been violated twice. First by the husband who in divorce papers she claims repeatedly hit her.
They are.
Then by the mugshot industry, which legally published these booking photos from what she says was a false arrest after police were called to her home. She says she sent them proof showing her record was cleared and was still asked to pay nearly $400 to have the photos removed.
It's not just that I take my photograph down on this site, it comes down on this side and it pops up somewhere else, over and over and over again. So when does it stop?
In this instance, you did nothing wrong.
I'm not a criminal. I'm not charged with anything.
We found a number of sites like TampaCriminals.com that refuse to remove photos for free, even when the person accused is innocent. The people making the money from sites like these are difficult to track down. But we did find this man in Louisiana who asked to remain in shadow.
Is this a dirty business that you're in?
I don't consider it dirty, what I do. What I do is help people.
He told us to call him TJ and says he's just a middleman hired by thousands of Americans each year to remove photos and repair reputations. He wouldn't explain to us how he negotiates with the mugshot websites, but says he collects as much as $1,300 for his services.
Here's the thing, the police can stop this overnight. Why are we posting the mugshot of someone who simply missed traffic court? Why is there a need, Mr. Sheriff, to post their photos?
Lawmaker Roger Bruce is pushing for a new law that would make all of these fees illegal, but only in Georgia.
And the thought is, if they can't charge a fee, why put it out there?
Sophia Andrade thinks her mugshot kept her out of work for more than a year and says this business isn't right. Steve Osunsami, ABC News, Atlanta.
So there we see, this is Sophia's story, and it's one of literally millions that are going through this agonizing and reliving this terrifying experience over and over again. And what's really devastating is, like Sophia, many people are innocent, or the charges have been expunged, or they're, like I said, they've turned over a new leaf since then. But since this carries with them, it's a scarlet letter for employment, It affects their children. I mean, it really is, the damage is so devastating. She's actually done something about it. So Sophia, again, welcome. And can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Thanks, Shira. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad to be. I'm so glad you're on. I've been looking for you. Trust me.
Thank you so much. And you know, you did an excellent job in the introduction, and I can see very much that you understand exactly what I'm going through, what people are going through. And yes, it all started out with unfortunately for me, I was in an abusive relationship. Like a lot of other relationships, sometimes it's very difficult to move away from that. But the day I decided that I had enough and wanted to walk away, the man fabricated a story and had me arrested for a day on a lie. I found myself 24 hours behind bars for something that I didn't do. It was very difficult. It was devastating. You know, even though I went through that and got out of jail that's the second day, you know, you want to be able to forget that and move on with your life, only to find out that you have private mugshot companies out there. That within itself is just another journey. And because when you make a decision that you're not going to allow anybody else to take advantage of you, I reached out to a lawmaker. That bill got rolling, which is HB 150 back in 2013. And I was just so proud that we had such bipartisan support on this bill that essentially says that you cannot charge a mugshot removal fee from somebody who's been vindicated from a crime. But then, you know, it got bigger for me. It got bigger because people started to reach out to the representative, and of course I was working the session, so I got those phone calls. And I started to hear story after story after story, and I realized it was so much bigger than myself. And it just started to grow with people's story of not being able to find jobs. Their lives are just took a different turn with the depression, mostly they can't move on with their life, only because there's a constant reminder on the internet of your bad day. And so in 2014, we advocated for another bill, HB 845, that gave it a little more teeth in the 150 bill. It does the same thing where you don't have to pay them a mugshot removal fee if you've been vindicated from a crime. But it also gives the police, the arresting agencies, discretion to turn over those booking photographs. And so I'm loving the journey where this is going. We are actually advocating now for federal laws because it's all across the country. And I really, really want one day to see that this industry is so dried up because they're just destroying lives over and over and over again. They're extortionists.
Yeah, absolutely, they're extortionists, and I've looked up countless websites where thousands of people are just in so much pain, and their families are being affected. I really can't believe that this is a legal business. And when you and I were talking earlier, you were telling me that some of these mugshot companies aren't even based in the United States, so to be able to reach them is nearly impossible.
Absolutely. There are actually over 80, the last count that we had, there are over 80 private mugshot companies across the internet. And a lot of these companies, too, are out of the country. So we can't get to them. The ones here in the United States, especially if you were arrested in the state of Georgia, the law protects you, well, it's attempting to protect you from these, websites, not to vilify you on the internet. But the ones across, offshore, how can you fight them? They'll keep they're telling us that they're not under our laws. Yet they can take the photographs from this country, put it on a website, World Wide Web, and want to charge you to take down your image. We know that employers now are using Google as one of their means of making a decision, It's just, it's beyond me how people in other countries can affect people's lives here so badly.
Yeah, I've been a victim of being arrested in Atlanta, Georgia, over domestic violence, and my bachelor's degree is in applied behavioral analysis, which I did complete once I became sober, and that means I'm qualified to begin to work with autistic children. Now, do you think I've ever been able to work with autistic children? But I still have, although I've paid quite a bit of money off on my student loans just for my undergrad, I still owe over $30,000 and counting daily with the interest on those loans, that I can't even get a job in the field that I studied for. So this is not affecting just you and me. This is, or even if you have turned over a new leaf and you're Googling some new guy and, you know, and you see his mugshot. I mean, even in the social realm, these are just, they encompass your entire life. And I've heard of the term double jeopardy, but this is farther than that. That's like exponential jeopardy. You pay for this crime, guilty or innocent, over and over and over again, forever.
Yeah. You know, and let me just be quite honest with you. I remember, I don't really Google people's photograph. I don't find any pleasure in trying to find out who's been arrested or not, you know. But I will, to be honest, if I saw a image of someone online, or if I found out someone has been arrested, my first inclination is not to even deal with, say, a guy wanted to go on a date with me and I found he was arrested. I would just run far from that person. I wouldn't want to hear anything. And so the stigma is real. And because I am on this side where I've had this experience, I realize, and I already, to be honest with you, I know that people, not everybody that goes to jail is guilty. I mean, we've had so many cases where DNA has proven people are innocent. People spend a lifetime in prison. Innocent people spend a lifetime in prison. They're out, they don't know what to do, you know, just to even start your life all over, where do you begin, you know? But I have a different outlook now, and I just wanted to be able to share that with people, that it's difficult to be in this position because we just kind of turn a blind eye. You know, that person's been arrested, I don't want to deal with that person, I don't want to deal with the drama. But it's real people, lives that are just devastated because of it. You know, if we continue to shun them, then, you know, how are we helping anybody in this society? You know, so I want, or we as an organization want to bring that type of awareness, and just to get rid of these unscrupulous people that continues to plague society. And, you know, that's what I'm after, and that's what we're trying to do, to make a difference and be positive instead of being negative.
Absolutely. And as far as getting these laws introduced, and you know, you've been really successful in Georgia. I think you're going to set the stage and be the model for what regular people can do. I mean, you were a victim of being accused of something you didn't do, and you have been a victim until, you know, you turned it around and said, I'm going to do something about this. So you're not a superhero. You're a person that said, this is ridiculous, I'm going to fight for myself. And as a result of your efforts, it's really changed a lot of people's perspectives on this. It's introduced dialogue. You know, you and I are women. If you and I were to say, yes, I was arrested for this, but this is what happened, I think people are more inclined to listen to us, because we don't look like we don't look like criminals. But if you have some guy, you know, that looks like a biker, or some guy from CSI Miami, are you going to listen to him? Are you going to give him the chance to express himself? No, you're going to run as fast as you can. So this is really not only affecting the people involved, but even at a societal level, it doesn't make economic sense for people to be labeled as a criminal for the rest of their lives, because when you can't get a job, there's very little resources available. And number one, it's being on state assistance. That's very expensive.
That's exactly right.
So talk about that.
Well, let me just first tell you that I applaud you for doing what you're doing too, and I know that we share a similar story where we've been behind bars and here. So there, you know, I applaud you because I do know that there are people like us that have gone down whatever road, whether we're guilty or innocent, that are in that situation and they don't know how to come up. They're not strong enough. And so if you don't have a Shira and you don't have a Sophia who says, you know what, you can do this. You can rise from your misfortunes. You can just never give up on yourself. And if we can continue to show that we can do it, then we may be able to help 1, 2 people along the way. And you're absolutely right. I was working with IBM for 15 and a half years. I was not retired. I was laid off at the computer center here in both centers. There's 2 last centers IBM had, call centers, one in Georgia and one in Dallas. And I was laid off back in 2010 in January. And so when I went through all that I did, and I didn't share with you, or I have shared with you, that through the process of dealing with my husband at that time of 10 months, I lost all my money to him. And I came back home to Georgia just with my tail wrapped through my legs and just coming back here and starting all over, and it has been tough. I mean, yes, my record has been expunged. The case never even got to court because there was no merit to the case. It got thrown out. And just to try to move on with my life, to try to get employment and do all that, it's just really has been really difficult. Sometimes, you know, people look at me and says, well, you know, you don't look so like you had a hard time, but I have had a hard time. But I can't afford to be back in that dark place. I can't stay because I'm with away. I have to get up. I have to trust God. I have to go back to my foundation of getting up and putting a smile on my face and bringing that positive energy to myself to know that one day it's going to be okay. But you are absolutely right. I had to go on food stamps because I had no other way. I have no money. You know, so it is difficult. And I don't want to be on that. Never been on there in all my life. You know, but I want, or we want, as an organization, want Congress to look at that. Look at the big picture of all these people who, because of this being in jail, getting out, trying to move on back with their lives, they can't get these things, and so now they're on the system. What sense does that make? We need to cut off their supply, and I'm referring to the private mugshot companies, because that is not a real job. That is just taking advantage of someone because of their misfortune. And I am an advocate for, if someone has done something wrong, because we're not perfect and we're fallible, we are going to make mistakes. And if somebody makes a mistake and turn their life around, then you should give that person that chance. You should not punish that person forever. And that's exactly what these websites are doing.
Absolutely. And like you said, when I'm promoting you on the addictionshow.com website, I put in big letters that you said, do not pay. Because what happens when you pay for one mugshot to be removed?
When you pay for a mugshot, they know, ooh, I could just see them now. Oh, we got one.
Me too.
She paid. Okay, let's put her on this side and on that side. And incidentally, the mugshot companies, you'll have one owner owning several different sites under different names. So when they're taking your mugshot off their website A, they upload one B, people that have paid thousands of dollars, and their mugshots are still up. And of course, my mugshot is still up on mugshots.com. But I'll never pay them. And as long as they keep me, I'll never pay them. So you know what? I'm at this place, I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to fight, and I know one day that mugshot will come down.
And you know, I just have to tell you my personal story. I was so humiliated. You cannot run from this mugshot nightmare, because no matter how you present yourself, like, I was wondering for 6 months, because I had to start going to my backup plan as a fine banquet server or a food server, because every time I would apply for a job, I would hear crickets, and I was like, I'm so qualified, I don't understand. And then one day, someone said, Have you seen your mugshot online? Because I was complaining, how come I can't get a job? Like, I couldn't believe the injustice of these ridiculous people. And I was like, oh my God, and literally my heart just sunk into my stomach, and I Googled myself, and I could not believe, I was absolutely devastated. I literally felt sick. And so I started doing research on this, and I saw a lot of attorneys answering these questions. What can I do? Should I pay? Shouldn't I pay? And I was so embarrassed and ashamed, but I was like, what can I do? And I found out there's really nothing at that moment that I could do. And so I said, you know what? I'm not gonna be shamed anymore, because I've paid my dues for that, and I've recovered, and you know, I've become who I am today. And so since I was honest with my history, a lot of people started to email me saying, I have a mugshot too. And so that's how, you know, just like you, people started reaching out to me and saying, you know, what, is there anything I can do? I'm in this state, I'm in that state. And I said the same thing. I don't care what they do. I am not paying them. I am not paying these extortionists. And I was really heated, and I was really upset. And there's a lot of people that are seeing the aftermath. But you know, I was thinking I can be vocal about this, because I'm in the addiction recovery community, and we, you know, this is pretty common for us to have a mugshot or two or many more, and then get it together. And I was thinking, but what about those people that are not in the recovery community, that are not as out and about and as loud and as vociferous as I am about talking about these things, because they can lose their jobs, they can lose their pensions, they can lose, because, you know, they say, you know, that maybe legally they can't, but how many people have been fired because of something like this? I mean, we don't know, but I guarantee you there's been devastation. I mean, and it just never seems to go away. So what about the people that can't be as open about this as you and I?
You know, I don't know the answer to that, because each person, I believe, will have to decide for themselves what. I'm liberated from my experience. You know, I know when I moved back from Tampa, Florida, back to Georgia, I remember how devastated I felt, because it's not just one thing that brought me to the place of what I call darkness that I never want to go to again. And I don't know if you can relate to me. Lived there. Of course, I lost my job, so I lost my home to foreclosure. I lost all my money to this man. It was from one event, from one to the next to the next, to just being alone. You know, I had issues with my teenage daughter, because my world was just all crushing down. You know, and I remember getting so close to taking my own life, because it became too much for me. You know, and that's a place that I never want to be. You know, when I realized what I almost did, I felt so selfish, you know, because I do have children, and I know they would hurt so badly, and my friends and people that love me. But to get there and just to feel what I feel today, I can only be this voice, and I'm hoping that we are the voice for other people that will jump on this bandwagon and say, you know what, I have this deep secret inside of me, and I just want to burst out, because it does set you free. You know, for the people that are in their jobs, you know, they have to decide for themselves. I just feel that each person has to decide for themselves. I do know that people have, you know, they've reached out and they've gotten interviews. Case in point, I actually got a girlfriend of mine sent my resume. She was working for this company, and they were hiring, and I'm more than qualified for this job. I sent my resume. I heard from the human resources lady. We went back and forth with 5 different emails, and then I was set up for an interview following 2 days, and the recruiter never called me. I sat and I waited for the interview, and I went out, I reached out, and I said, can you tell me why I did not get an interview? No one called, blah, blah, blah. And they were kind of silent. And then, oh, all of a sudden they had somebody else in mind, and the job is no longer. I know why I didn't get an interview. Are they going to say, oh, we found your mugshot online, so we didn't give you the job? No. So here we are fighting. We can't, there's no discrimination because we can't prove it, but we know what it is.
Exactly. You cannot prove the reason why you didn't get the job, even though the elephant's in the room for everyone to see. And when you lose your job, they can't discriminate overtly, so they make up other reasons. So for those people that try to tell me, maybe I didn't get the job for other reasons, you know, I'm like, I do know better than that. And it's funny you mentioned about a recruiter, because guess what my job was in Atlanta? I was an executive recruiter for healthcare, for C-level executives and pharmacists. And so for you to tell me as a recruiter I can't get a job, you know, it's like it wasn't my poor interviewing skills. I used to prep people. It wasn't my situation. Besides, they have Google, and they Googled me. And you know, before this happened to me, I have to be honest, I would be leery of hiring those people too. If I would take this information to my boss and say, I found a qualified candidate, but their top link is a mugshot, there's no way in the world I would have been authorized to hire that person. So this is, I mean, case in point. So now, since your actions have really helped bring awareness, and you've been supported by really influential people that have understood your circumstances, and it has had a ripple effect. So Georgia is #1. So what's going on in other areas of the country? Are you aware of any?
Well, I do believe, and I should really have this for you, I apologize, there are like 9 states who are on the bandwagon of trying to have some sort of legislation against these private mugshot company, and that's a good sign that, you know, we're awakening other states to follow suit to Georgia. But, you know, I think that we're going to nip this in the bud if we get Congress to really take a look at this, you know. And I did want to point, before I go, I wanted to point out that, you know, if nothing else from all of this, that we can bring somewhere to these companies that are like you said earlier, you find a top person qualified for this job, but guess what? He has a mugshot. Bring that person in and find out, you know, why was he arrested? How did he change his life? And give that person a second chance. It's our responsibility to do that, to keep our society viable, you know. So I am hoping from all of this, if nothing else, that we allow our community to be aware and give people that second chance that they ever so need for their families.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to piggyback off of what you said earlier. Once you just came to the realization that you're not going to be buried in the shame and humiliation, it was really liberating. And that's the same reaction that I had, because I literally, physically, mentally, spiritually could not live like that in constant fear of being found out. And I really had to do some soul searching, because it seemed like it was just taking over my every thought, and I mean, it was really overwhelming for me. And I was telling someone, I trusted, and they just said, you know, this is a total badge of honor in the recovery community. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, it proves that you're legit. Like, I've got street cred.
That's right. We are the authority on this stuff.
I've got street cred.
That's right. That's right.
You know, absolutely. But I've seen some people try to empower themselves, and successfully, by actually posting their own mugshots as their main picture on their Facebook pages. And while I've never done that, because they're not good pictures, to be quite frank. They're not good pictures. But yeah, the mascara running down, looking at that raccoon look, you know. But I just really applaud these people, and it's like, no matter how busy I am, if I see someone post their mugshot or their before and after pictures, I always try to say, good job. You know, it takes so much courage and strength just to put it out there, and then you're not controlled by it anymore. You're controlling your own destiny.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, I know that a lot of people in the state of Georgia, you know, so many laws passed, and you just don't know what the law says or what it does. So, you know, I just encourage people, once I find out they have a mugshot, I give them my business card. I say, call me, whatever, and so let's help clean up the internet, because it is a deterrent. It does, you know, hinder your life in some way. So as we go try to get federal laws to clean this all up, you know, and I don't know if, my mugshot, of course, will never ever be off the internet, and that's a sad case, but if that's what it takes, you know, it's okay if that's what it takes, because I'm free. I'm okay, and I will be okay from these parasites.
They really are. They're absolute parasites. And when I started this show with you, and we showed your little newsreel about that guy who, what was his website? Because his website makes it look like he's there to help you, and I want to make sure people understand that these websites that promise, if you pay us, we'll clean up your credit, we'll sweep things away so they're not so prominent on these searches. But
I think this is how it works. I believe those companies are separate companies. They're not private mugshot companies, but they're private, I'll clean up your record companies. Right. And they have to be in cahoots with these companies, because I wouldn't be surprised if you have a mugshot company owning some of these different sites. And what they do is they negotiate with the mugshot company and say, I'll pay you this to get these 3 mugshots off. And so you feel that this company is helping you to fight the other company. But, you know, it's all a big racket, because none of those companies are legitimate companies. They create the problem, and then they want us to pay to fix the same problem they created. They created the problem for us. You know, so I don't trust any of them. I won't pay any of them, and I encourage anybody who has a mugshot, don't pay them, because it will never go away. They know you'll pay the money. They'll know that you are so embarrassed you want to take it off, and for whatever other reasons, you know, that's your life. You know, just don't pay them, and you'll see how much their industry gets dried up. And, you know, all the advertising companies that advertise on their website, we're encouraging them not to do business with them, because they're unethical. And now in the state of Georgia, they're breaking the law.
Yeah, it's really guilt by association. And I think I read something where Google got reprimanded because of the way they were setting up their algorithms. That's where the search engine optimization comes into play. So if someone's name is Googled, then the mugshot link has top priority. So
yeah,
I mean, that's really not putting your best foot forward there.
Well, you know, I will tell you that Google has made some changes. Some of the credit card companies made some changes, and as they make changes, the mugshot company makes changes.
Right.
But it's going in the right direction, I think, because it's getting noticed.
And
so
it's,
a little bit at a time wins that race.
Right, and it's because of efforts like yours and your passion and your strength and your courage to, I mean, it's one thing to share your story, but it's another thing to take on this industry of corruption and unethical behavior. I really applaud your efforts, and you really shot right to the tippy top of my role model list. But I'm really glad that you're available and you're so sincere in your efforts, and you really have brought forth so much change and so much hope. It's really not only inspiring others to feel better and to know it's okay. We still like you. You still have a chance in the world, but it really helps motivate people. Well, if little 5'4" Sophia can do it in Atlanta,
you know my height.
You told me because I was like, you look so tiny. But
you.
I mean, it's going to have a ripple effect, and everything is created by motion and action. And you've really showed us, you've really shown us that things are possible, and there is some liberation in owning it and doing something about it. And yeah, and my final thought is that you're not alone in this. I mean, you and I have been through it. I know many professionals in all different realms, from psychotherapists to attorneys. Even a treatment center owner reached out to me in Florida. She was arrested for domestic violence against her husband, and she owns a couple of treatment centers dealing with adolescents. So, I mean, talk about that could have killed her business. And this was one isolated incident. She got upset with her husband, and somehow the neighbor, I mean, you know how the chain reaction. So all of a sudden, she's got a mugshot for life. So I don't think the punishment's fitting the crime one bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. It can. I mean, it can happen to any one of us. Just walking down the street, you look like somebody I know, and you look like the person who just ran from that house, and here you are with a mugshot, and your whole life changed, just overnight.
Yeah.
So I totally understand.
So your nonprofit is called reclaimourdignity.org, or that's the website. So if anyone is interested in following Sophia, see what she's doing, and keeping updated with the laws, follow closely, because I think these laws are going to be changing soon. Because on every level, from personal to the federal level, this doesn't make sense. It's not an economically viable option to keep these exploitive parasites, and you're right, that's exactly what they are in business. We need to shut them down, and this is how it's being done. You're showing us the way, girl.
Right. Need their support. We need them to sign. Actually, I have a petition on change.org under my name, Eradicate Private Mugshot Companies. Sign petition to Congress, get a hold of it and say, hey, we have some people stirring on this stuff. Just, follow me and go on www.reclaimourdignity.org. Reach out to me. I mean, everything is there. All the information is there.
Awesome. And we will keep people updated with your progress. Once the show is made available to the public, I'm sure we will be getting lots of comments, and we will also keep providing information about your amazing efforts in helping us all. So thank you so much, Sophia, for just being you, and just making me feel like there's just goodness in the world. It's like the forces of good versus evil, and with more people like you in the world, we can prevail. So thank you so much.
And thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Bye.